当时我们当地社区的书记给我打电话，他说：姜伟，那个地震的那个时候，是不是你帮助一个以色列的那个留学生？我说的是，有这么一回事情，属实。他说的，哎呀，我以为骗人的，第一次领事我打电话，我给他挂了，我以为骗人的。
The Israeli girl named Maya spent 13 years searching for the benefactor who saved her during the Wenchuan earthquake. Her only clue was a photo they took together when they parted. Did she finally find him? Her benefactor's name was Jiang Wei. The year the earthquake happened, he was in Chengdu, a third-year student at Sichuan Jiaodong Xueyuan. On the afternoon of May 12, 2008, Jiang Wei was attending class when suddenly the ground began to shake, and the desks in the classroom creaked. This ominous sign made him realize it was an earthquake. A group of students followed the teacher's instructions and rushed to the playground to take shelter. Fortunately, the earthquake in Chengdu was not severe. The classrooms did not collapse, and no students were injured. The school principal announced over the loudspeaker, an 8.0 magnitude earthquake occurred in Wenchuan County, and the situation was extremely critical. Jiang Wei's heart sank. Wasn't Wenchuan his hometown? He quickly tried to call his parents, but the signal in Wenchuan had already been cut off, and the call could not go through. At that moment, how could Jiang Wei still focus on class? He immediately asked for leave from his teacher and boarded a bus to rush home. However, the roads had already been destroyed by the earthquake. The bus broke down halfway and could not continue. Anxious, Jiang Wei shouted, picked up his luggage, and went to find another bus. Along the way, he changed vehicles 7 or 8 times. After struggling through the entire night, he finally returned to Wenchuan in the morning of May 13th. Even though he had mentally prepared himself, Jiang Wei was still shocked by the sight of his hometown. Everywhere were ruins and injured villagers. The cries of pain echoed through the sky above Wenchuan. Jiang Wei's nose stung, and he fell to his knees, bursting into tears. Fortunately, his parents appeared at that moment. Although their house had collapsed, both of them were safe and uninjured. Jiang Wei hugged his parents tightly. This might have been the only comforting thing since the earthquake happened. His parents wanted him to rest for a while in a temporary tent shelter, but Jiang Wei refused. Seeing so many villagers in distress, he wanted to do his part to save people. Jiang Wei bid farewell to his parents and planned to go to the nearby village to join the rescue team. On the way, he saw 2 blonde foreign girls.
他们两个就坐在这上面的，然后我看他们两个，其中一个呢就是玛雅呢，这个事很严重。
During the 2008 Wenchuan earthquake, the Israeli student Maya, who was rescued, still remembers that experience 15 years later. On the morning of May 13, 2008, Jiang Wei, a university student in Chengdu, rushed back to his hometown of Wenchuan to take part in rescue efforts. On the way, he encountered 2 injured Israeli girls. Luckily, Jiang Wei's English was quite good, so he went up to ask if they needed help. Both girls could speak Chinese. They were medical students studying in China. During the earthquake, they had been trapped under the rubble, but were fortunately rescued by local rescue workers and brought to a temporary shelter. However, there were no supplies at the shelter. The 2 girls were hungry and terrified, so they decided to walk out of the disaster area on foot, but they got lost. The taller one was named Anat, who was less injured but had not eaten for 2 days and had no strength left. The other girl, Maya, was seriously hurt. Her chin bone was fractured, and she could not even speak. After understanding their situation, Jiang Wei patted his chest and said, "Guests are friends. You are in China, and since you are in trouble, I will do my best to get you out of danger." Jiang Wei first went to borrow water and food from nearby villagers, helping the 2 girls regain their strength. Then, acting as their guide, he led them out of the disaster zone. Jiang Wei and Anat helped support the severely injured Maya as they walked. When Anat could no longer continue, Jiang Wei carried Maya on his back alone. The earthquake tremors had not completely stopped, and the mountain roads at night were dangerous and difficult to walk. To be honest, Jiang Wei himself was scared, But he knew that if he showed weakness, the two girls' spirits would collapse. So he forced himself to stay strong and kept going. Fortunately, on the way, Jiang Wei met his uncle, who was very familiar with the local terrain. Under his uncle's guidance, they found a safer shortcut. By early morning the next day, they had successfully walked out of the disaster area, and mobile phone signals were restored. The two Israeli students called the rescue team and were taken to a secure shelter. Seeing his mission complete, Jiang Wei prepared to say goodbye and leave. But at that moment, Maya called out to him.
Maya,
Tears were going out of my eyes. I couldn't hold my tears. I was crying.
因为之前看到玛雅那个时候跟现在还是有点变化的，毕竟还是过那么多年了。
I promised that I will see you in live. I don't know if I come to China or I invite you to come to Israel.
To express her gratitude to the man who saved her during the Wenchuan earthquake, the Israeli girl Maya spent 13 long years searching for her benefactor. But the only thing connecting them was a single photo taken when they parted. Searching for someone across the ocean with only that was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Did she finally succeed? When they parted that year, Maya had wanted to thank Jiang Wei face to face, but her dislocated jaw made her unable to speak. So she took off a Buddhist prayer bead bracelet from her wrist and gave it to him, hoping that one day they would recognize each other through that token. They took one last photo together, hugged each other with tears in their eyes, and went their separate ways into the crowd. Maya did not know that after that farewell, they would not see each other again for many years. Maya and Anat were later taken to a hospital for treatment and then flew back to Israel. The two women who survived the disaster were soon featured by Israeli media, which widely reported their experiences. Because of this, they became well known and were constantly invited for interviews. The brave act of the young Chinese man Jiang Wei also became known among the people of Israel. Many Israelis, moved by gratitude, made donations to help the people of Wenchuan. After returning to Israel, Maya could not forget Jiang Wei. She wanted to see him again, to thank him face to face. But with only one photo to go on, finding him was like searching for a drop in the ocean. Despite her continuous efforts over the years, there was no progress. Until 2018, when another Israeli girl studying in Sichuan happened to learn about Maya's story. She volunteered to help her look for Jiang Wei in Sichuan. Thanks to her efforts, they finally found him. During the video call, Maya had just begun to say thank you, when tears streamed down her face and she was unable to speak. Their brief reunion fulfilled a 10-year regret. However, Maya was so emotional that she forgot to ask for Jiang Wei's phone number, and once again, the two who had just reconnected lost contact. In 2021, the 13th anniversary of the Wenchuan earthquake, on May 11th, Israel's Consul General Ran Peleg personally presented Jiang Wei with a medal to honor his actions during the disaster and his contribution to the friendship between Israel and China. Later, with the help of the Israeli Consulate, Maya was able to reconnect with Jiang Wei once more. This time, they both memorized each other's phone numbers carefully, ensuring they would never lose contact again. Although they have not yet met in person, they have already begun planning. One day, Jiang Wei will invite Maya to visit Wenchuan and see today's peaceful China.
If it hadn't been for that earthquake, Jiang Wei might have been just one of millions of ordinary college students, and Maya, just another foreign girl studying in China. But fate made them meet in the ruins, turning a disaster into a bond that lasted 13 years. Some say it was coincidence. Others say it was a miracle. But I believe it was the truest strength of humanity. Jiang Wei had no grand title, no media packaging him as a hero. He simply saw two injured girls and instinctively chose to help them. At that moment, he represented not just himself, but countless ordinary Chinese people who stepped forward in times of crisis. And Maya showed us another kind of strength. For 13 years, she never forgot. She sought not fame, not reward, but a chance to return the kindness she received. She used her actions to tell the world. True gratitude is not just saying thank you, but spending years to search and a lifetime to remember. One from the East, the other from the West. Yet kindness brought them together. In a world filled with growing division and conflict, stories like this are truly precious because they remind us that kindness can cross through disaster and compassion can cross every border. Perhaps that earthquake destroyed countless homes, but it also rebuilt the purest trust between people. And Jiang Wei and Maya are the gentlest witnesses to that trust.